Never take what we say to be 100% fact or truth. Do your own research, connect your own dots, and come to your own conclusions based on that. Dig for the truth. The days of eating auto-truth are over. Follow the bloodline. Who died on the Titanic? What year did the Titanic sink? Why is this relevant? What exactly happened to the Titanic? What class of people were guaranteed a lifeboat? Why did select individuals not make it into the lifeboats? Why is this relevant? What is the Fed? What does the Fed control? Who controls the Fed? Who approved the formation of the Fed? Just forget the Hollywood blockbuster movie film Titanic, starring your favorite actor. The information I'm about to give to you and that you're about to receive is not a conspiracy theory, but rather well recorded in the books of world history. I will give you these facts, you decide for yourself. In 1898, a man named Morgan Robertson penned a book titled Wreck of the Titan about a luxury liner deemed...
So it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
All right. Some lights. Camera. Action. What's up, brother?
Oh, yes.
Is going
Wonderful
on.
to serve with you today, brother in arms. All you guys out there. We're getting people from the UK, from Quebec, from here, everywhere. It's wonderful.
All over. Well, welcome to the Patriot Hour. We got Ben in. We always like to take a minute here for anyone that's new. If you're new, subscribe. Never take what we say here to be 100% word, truth. Connect your own dots. We dig ourselves. We see it. We try to give it how we see it. We don't purposely lie. Ben and I came in contact back in like 2007 at college in the area, going through some network administrating things. Both just recently separated from the service. So kind of met on those angles and Cisco certification courses and networking courses and stuff.
All
Crazy.
kinds of good stuff.
Or maybe it was a Linux course. I think it was our Linux security. Who knows?
Probably
but,
so. One of those mini courses we had always.
Maybe it was when we started the what was that? We started the
it was the Linux. It was the offensive security. Basically, it's like the Super Bowl for geeks who try to penetrate networks.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get
set
a penetration
mock networks
team
up,
going.
mock networks, and a little bit of offensive penetration. Try to make Swiss cheese out of networks and
in a controlled environment, mind you, on fully consenting owners of the machines. So no, it's been a wild ride, man. I mean, we say, Mike and I say garage talk. That's something we've been doing well before the channel. We just get into things, and so it's always been a natural progression.
We're missing the logo down there. That's important sometimes, folks. When you have
it's important. Let you know who's what and who's who and what's going on.
So we're just here tonight. Free flow Sunday. We were kind of prepping. We built this new little background thing on the fly. We're
It looks
gonna
good.
have
I'm really happy
Woodman.
with it.
Yeah, Woodman was in for a little bit. There was some technical difficulty. Maybe tomorrow. It's late. We are way behind schedule. No big rush. It's just Sunday. But we were talking about things. A couple things we wanted to go over here. One being that Trump did do an executive order on recall of inactive reserves. Even we'll get into that a little bit. And then the
Select
Fed
services. Yes,
the Federal Reserve, we wanted to touch base on that, the importance of it, where we're already at. I know people are even more upset now with the actual what's happening, like literally, because that's all you can go off of. You got the news reporting on things, Trump literally doing this and that, but what kind of system were we already in? Should you have already been mad? I think so. So we'll see. We're going to dig into that a little bit. Lots of people here. Welcome all Patriots.
Oh yes, you guys are awesome. I've been looking over here in my little screen of chats with you guys, and I'm telling you what, man, we got awesome Patriots from all over. Definitely want to give a shout out to all the mods. You guys holding it down. It's been a wonderful time. Yeah, I can see here how it works. But I can see here on this particular overlay, it still wants to go to the original 1 and 2 positions of our screen.
I wonder if I can fix that somehow.
A little bit of Wilson.
Wilson,
it's been awesome, you guys.
Special guest. That's hilarious. There's got to be a way to fix that. If I maybe right click on it, let me do a little bit of,
if we spent another 20-30 minutes beforehand.
No. Check this out. So if I click that, what is that?
Live editing, folks.
If I click there, and if I maybe
we'll see, it'll be the Wilson.
So if I come back, did that mess you up? And if I come back,
a little bit of live action. How it's getting better. I see it.
Things are getting better all the time.
President Trump is going to make things better.
I am just
smoothing it. Look at that. Boom. Box shot right there. Perfect. A little bit of the tea, a little bit of freedom tea. We have I'm
trying.
Boy, that freedom tastes wonderful. We've been kind of having a little chat thread around some of the Patriot Hour team members here. As times go on, we definitely talk offline here, and we're definitely showing all of our. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good, brother. You can take that call. I can mute you.
No,
good?
No,
okay.
No, it's all good. I'm here for you guys, for the people.
I'm trying mine real quick. I got it preset. There we go.
Whoa, there it is.
And we get over to old Ben. That's cool.
We swoop it down once. Look at that. Look at that, you guys. Live editing. Although, when the time does come and we start making this thing big time, we need a deployment team.
Thank you, Woodman, for
endless
setting that
stuff,
up, brother.
Oh, amazing. Oh yeah.
All right, so we're gonna look at some comments here as we just kind of wait.
Yeah, what's up, you guys? Nancy Pelosi and her Democrats are. What's up, Blazer 101? What are they doing?
They'd like to hear our thoughts. They
want
to hear our thoughts about the resets. I see Mary Radcliffe. Your thoughts on the reset or our thoughts?
I'm excited about the reset. Here we've talked about this many, many times, man. The times like these, you're either running around buying toilet paper by the carload, or you're at home with your peep scopes prepped up, ready to go. I mean, yes, we all went out and bought a little bit more food. Why? Because everybody else is going out and buying food. It's understanding it's a progressively, idea of, your neighbors buying food, so there's no more food. I get it. We all get it now. But this isn't a time for, people, you're pretty much on a vacation, forced vacation. And people are like, oh, I can't handle myself. Hey, I know kids are getting a little crazy. I know they're cooped up. They want to go around. It's like, it is a crazy time, but it's funny. Our president was like, you're sacrificing your time by staying home with your family. And that's kind of how people see it, but at the same rate, we're helping thousands of people who are quote unquote, we're saving lives as well by staying home. And is it under the auspices of this alleged pandemic, or is it under the auspices of, if we were all out in the streets in these major cities, would people use this time to be rioting, looting, hitting up their general markets? I just went to my local butcher today, and I was talking to the young girl at the checkout counter, and they were talking about somebody who just walked in the store and started grabbing some stuff, because we know that they're not really going to be calling the cops so much for, misdemeanors and petty crimes in a lot of areas. And she was just, I said, man, it's just so tragic, so tragic. It's like, there's no need to. There's plenty of produce, coming out now. It's like, I understand that there's some places that are closed, high-end restaurants, but it's like, man, it's crazy. It really brings out, really sees and shows you who you want to have in your foxhole with you when the bullets really did come flying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I made that comment the other day, and, you don't want to be in the middle of a foxhole with the wrong people and then having to run out, like, just can't take it. Like, I'm willing to risk my life to leave this foxhole and take fire and whizzing by my head or not, and I will. So what do you think on I agree, everyone's home. Like, if we all can believe that there's a deep state, if we could all believe, and we do, I believe, at this point, there's a deep state.
There's bad people that wants to do bad things, in a real bad way,
in this time of crisis, regardless. So it looks like the picture being painted, and with the history, and this has even nothing to do with anything current. No Trump, no just currently, just our own research. We've known about the Fed. We've known that's not a right system, that is nowhere near what, I mean, the reason we went to war in 1776, or declared our independence anyway,
we
was
didn't want
one
no
of those.
Control. No,
we
didn't want to be no king. We want to be our own
without
king.
representation. These people, however you want to look at that, folks. So, I guess the point would be, are we? Everyone's safe at home. We know that. Like, maybe, we know the deep state, without saying all these hot trigger words on this platform. We just know how they like to act. I mean, people at schools during the day, you got people in large crowds at malls or stores. So this whole thing, and now again, none of it is mandated. People are flipping out because of the rhetoric being spread around, and that's expected. But put it this way,
almost
Trump's
very
not
understandable,
pointing to states and saying, do this, because he said straight up, like, we're not arresting people. This is all just heavily, and now you're seeing local channels, orange level. We're at orange level in the area. They did this with the terrorist stuff.
They did this with the H1N1.
Red level. Every time we've had war on terror, when it ramped up with Bush, you couldn't turn it to a channel without that thermometer. That they had a digital I can put one. We can build one here.
Oh my gosh! Let's get a pie graph and a thermometer and show you that we're like 2 minutes to midnight on the nuclear clock. It's like,
so geez. Think about that. Think about that. But if they do pull axe, this whole, we're in this thing here. So we know the pandemic from what possibly from 19. What do we talk about? The Fed we had the Titanic. We had very prominent men that were almost pushed, coaxed, tricked to get onto it. A couple of other prominent men that were like, oh yeah, we're on it too. We got our tickets right here.
Here's my ticket.
Simply, they didn't get on. I mean, you can think however you want, but back in that time frame in 1917, it was, people do it today, in the front door, out the back. Maybe they walked up together on the plank. Maybe these dudes were so scared they didn't want to get nowhere on it just in case they got trapped on, but they're like, oh yeah, I forgot my luggage in the car. I'll be right with you, gentlemen. And they ran back and never got on. Whatever reason, these couple of other people didn't get on. But they talked other people into getting on. A year later, the Federal Reserve, we know that people were opponents of it. Those three guys together, just those three people opposing it back in that time frame, had more money, more sway.
They would have had the power to oppose it. They had the means to physically stop this cabal, if you will, from really taking a foothold in everything, because they knew that America was a center of trade. This new this company, we were vibrant, really vibrant company at that time, and they knew. And
we always talk about there's two presidents that opposed the Fed, but there was many men. There was many men that opposed it. So it wasn't, presidents are important. Yes, they're the figureheads. We hear about them typically. Books and history is written about them. History, not so much about the average man or these probably weren't really considered average men. But even, remember, we moved forward a little bit to in the 1917s. Some of the congressmen that were opposed to it, and they were poisoned, and for the third and final time, it finally worked. So poison was a big thing back then. So we know they sent, right after the Fed got into work, after these prominent men were gone, the Fed started 18 months later, or just over a year, 13 months later, and then we had war. Boom, they get to business as usual, as they do in these countries that they get invested in. So right away we had war, and then
we
after
went into debt almost immediately because of war. Because what do you do when you get war?
They got to get the system primed. They need to grease the wheels. They don't want to take too long. So war, and then after that gets over, what happened? Spanish flu. Now, how did that work back then? We know that Trump's uncle, Frederick Trump, was killed.
Well,
by
I think it was President Trump's grandfather who died from the Spanish flu, which we call it the Spanish flu, just like Trump's now calling this the Chinese flu or the Chinese virus.
So it was a Spanish influenza.
The Spanish influenza. I can have an umbrella that can be many colors and look different things, but it almost
seems like throughout time there has always been these bloodlines battling, possibly like the same things going on now with like the same people. You got Gates, Trump, and these names and Rothschilds. These are the same people back during this war and this other influenza thing. And who knows how they did it back then. Like, this is a true thing that came up out of here. Well, that's what the books say. Again, none of us were around. We can't even figure this one out that we're living through.
The history is so incredibly hazy, and to sift through it to really get a good bead on who really was who and what was really done for what true reasons.
Kind of like now, though, right? Like right now.
Exactly.
Do you know everything about this or all the rhetoric that's good? You could talk about?
Oh, my gosh, no. I'm far from it. I can't even keep up with it.
So how does this one go down in the books? Well,
so what does it go down?
You know, the
Well, in a matter of, I mean, we can see if we look back at the Library of Congress in the last 3 years, what has happened, everything from sex scandals that came out to be false, countries was pretty much what, treason from our own president. Now they're trying to do they try to impeach him. The impeachment process failed, and the whole entire time the country is making records that it hasn't never had done in 100 years and 50 years. Unemployment, record numbers. Even our own president said last month these huge companies and airlines were reporting record numbers ever in history, and within 1 month, boom, they're done. And we know who has the power to do that. It's the same idea that one person had the power in my particular state, just one person, to cancel all of the schools. So one person had the power. So that's pretty powerful.
So we've seen this play out too. So we can't be dumb enough to be like, this is a real crisis this time. This is a real collapse this time. I mean, it is. In a way, it's always real. You know, it's just...
It is real. And
because
so the original question
people
posed,
die.
You were saying
things happen. It really does happen. That's what we mean by real. Folks,
And the Fed, you know, what will we talk about? You know, what is going on with the Fed? Do we want to keep it? It's been around for so long. The first 2 times we tried to have a central bank, we the people killed it the first time. Second time they had a 20-year charter, and after that got killed, so they couldn't do it. We've had presidents quote on their deathbed, you know, I killed the bankers, you know. And it's like, now that's in place, and we've talked it so incredibly
we talk about
huge.
How would you get out of it? That's the whole thing. There's a lot of channels
How would
out
I
here.
get out of it?
I'm going to say this. There's a lot of channels out there that are talking right now, you guys, and you just gotta, and not everyone has got it all together, and you got to look at history, and some people got it better together than others. I'm not a huge person to look at financings on a global scale. This has never been something I've dug into, but I will say we're in a system already. So with Trump making moves within a system that's already foul and shouldn't be here, and you should be screaming about that from the rooftops, if he makes more moves, it's like, well, where we were at was better. I don't know. I don't know that to be true. I can't make that statement, but I know that the Fed Reserve, the central bank system, is something where our Constitution's kind of opposite of. So anyway, go off that, Ben. Like, what do you think?
Okay, well, step for one that nobody can refute. that the Federal Reserve does not print money. So we all can agree on that, no matter who you are, no matter what channel you're preaching, either you're preaching fear or you're preaching hope, whatever.
They control.
We can all agree that the Federal Reserve does not print its own money. We print our money. We went through that with Manx. There were some good patriots below, and the chat was giving us good information.
And that's half based off of our, that's an illusion they left us with. For what reason? For what reason, Ben? Why would they give us the power to actually physically print it?
Exactly, because they only have the power to control it, because we freely gave them the power when we declared our bankruptcy whole in 1971.
What did Armistal Rothschild say? What was his famous quote? Remember that one?
I care not for the laws of the land, or something of this nature, and I only care for the control of the currency.
Yeah,
because that doesn't matter what the laws are. So
I care not who, let the people make their own laws and feel like they're really powerful, but just make sure we have control of the money.
Well, it's interesting. There's a hypothesis. You asked a question of, how would you end the Fed, or what would you do to create the Fed, or not create it, but what would you do to really seriously
real quick. Look, who cares? Leave it the way it is. Somebody just, I don't know if they're
1871 DC Act. We understand that. All these guys, we know that DC is incorporated. But it's almost like, does it all go at once, or is there physical steps? Mike and I said this. If we were to go fully independent, we have to have our own assets secure before we cut off the head of the snake.
There's a process.
Yes, there's a process.
I mean, there's probably many of different ways.
Could be.
That you could have done it, but this is possibly
first time ever that our treasury coffers are in the billions. That's interesting. And now the treasury itself is now in negotiations for the first time ever since 1913. And we know the 1871. I understand it, you guys. Mike and I preach that from the rooftops.
We understand
the Reconstruction
We're going to keep pitching this into the airwaves because this is the correct, right thing to do. Maybe all these people up there don't know about this. So hopefully they watch, they hear it, it gets repeated, and then they do the right thing. I mean, that's a little funny to think, but no, honestly, this is what needs to happen.
Change it,
this is what needs to happen.
Yeah, I think
not this exact step, but I mean, all the borrowing of the money are what people are upset about, Ben. The 200 trillion, it's all Plato money anyway.
Yeah,
but yes, we're
based off this action, Mike. Yeah, let's think about this action. Let's take the money out of the equation and let's look at the sovereignty of you and I as flesh and blood, free men walking the earth, right? Right now, the Treasury is doing deals with the Federal Reserve, right? However you want to look at that, they're doing deals. Treasury wasn't able to do deals because they had no assets to do deals. They've always been borrowing.
They already had us by the stranglehold.
They already have such a hold. But has the Federal Reserve ever been publicly, through the United States of America, audited, so we know
seventh floor to the fifth?
Okay, so we know that's true.
And then if you really come a knocking and they want to, at any point, I don't know if they've given the ones we used to see sometimes. When
yes. And so
what is this?
If the Treasury is now making their deals with it, they're borrowing money and doing this. If it's all funny money, what's the back game? What's the end game? That the Treasury has our United States Treasury that are accountable to we the people, right? So it's the Secretary in Treasury and the CEO of the Fed. These two people, if they get together and they merge on their corporations, then the Treasury has its fingers deeper into the Federal Reserve and can say, don't do this, don't do that, stop doing this. By the way, we're going to be printing our own currency. What are you here for? Oh, are you going to be a secondary? Are you going to be a private company like you always have been? You can print your Federal Reserve notes, but we're now going to be living off of the Treasury dollar that's based off of our Treasury and our gold bullion assets here. And oh, by the way, we're going to nationalize that currency. So your currency is going to be funny money. You can still operate. So without getting too deep into finances, this is yet another way. Do I know this is the right way? Honest, you guys, nobody does. And there's
I want people, the people that, all you naysayers out there that are actually content creators, lay out what you would do. Because it's funny, because like we talk about, if Trump was going to, he need to, fire people. But yet they had them in a stranglehold where like they had them under investigation. So the key people that needed to be fired couldn't be because they were put into positions of Trump, I'll be the head of your FBI. No, I don't want you to be head of FBI. 1 week later, oh, he's the head of your special counsel. Somebody that you might want to get rid of, you couldn't, or you're under all this scrutiny for
he walked in with people contractual
under
or something,
record,
right?
yeah, or under like going to court basically for all kinds of things, and any move would have been like, see, we told you. And then you talk to these same people, and then they're like, I'd fire everybody. So, well, you'd be looked at as a dictator. Well, I don't care. This is what needs to happen. And it's like, you can lay out your plan, but people are going to scream at you the whole way that you're this, you're that, you're an evil doer, you're part of it. And they're actually, I don't, so we don't know. We're going to keep digging on some of this. We have to, folks. We have to.
Well, people, let's do a little wig split in here. Do you actually own the property that you live on right now? Yeah. No. Why? You pay taxes, right? And if you stop paying taxes, do they kick you off the land you think you pay a mortgage on? We can get deep, y'all. We can get real deep into this. It gets bigger than just a Federal Reserve.
Be upset about lots of things. That's the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, you guys. This is crazy. I mean, yes, I agree. This is huge. To think that, okay, you want it how it was. So what? Your Nimrod Square, your Federal Reserve note does the same thing. Well, what if it was a different shiny piece of paper in your hand and it still did the same thing? Why do you care what your money folds in there? I mean, if you've never held foreign money before or went to a foreign country, and I understand that a lot of people haven't. Mike and I, we've been blessed, I guess you can say, to see.
Well, there's always
hundreds
a fear
of countries. It's crazy.
There's the fear of all the different central banks embedded into all the countries already. There's a couple that aren't. There's just a few left. If you look at past administrations, like we talked about before 9/11, there was like 11 left. After 9/11 and all the invasions a decade later,
4. Now there's 3,
something like that. So
yes.
This could go one of two ways. At the end of this, I mean, it needs something. Whatever we do, our money would need to be backed, possibly by gold, or we're going to go to this one world system that the Fed was just asking about, or they're looking to get into the digital currency now. The actual Fed is, or something. They want to go digital. That's a new world order money, man. And
they're trying to go to a cashless society. They've been pitching a cashless society for years.
So, how do you break away from the Fed? How do you, people like the person, I've done videos, people are like, you need to cover this. Well, I have. 1871, what happened, the way that, Insurrection Act got brought up. Abraham Lincoln gets killed, Abe Lincoln gets killed, and then they leave this thing in kind of a cloud of our country for the next decade. When they unveil it finally, because people were ill-informed, not informed. The word didn't get around back in 1871 like it does today. But still, when you come out of this system, they had basically wrote up a new constitution, and it kind of put ours into the dustbin of history.
They gave their own sovereignty.
Yes. So everything is kind of fruit of the poisonous tree after that point in my book.
Amen.
But I was born nowhere near that time. It wasn't my fault. So what do we
do now that I'm alive and we can do something about it? Yes, I agree.
We talk about Monopoly's fun. Agree? Monopoly's fun unless you show up late. And everyone's like, hey, we'd love to have you, Ben. I know you're an hour late and things happen, but all the land's bought up. All the money's distributed to the 5 players, but you can get in on IOUs. You can write up some IOUs on paper. We'll let you start with that. And just go ahead and spin the dice. Well, everywhere you land, I'm landing on something. I owe somebody. Well, isn't that unfortunate? It's not so
Plus,
fun.
there's interest. What's this middle guy I'm paying over here that I have no IOUs? Can I get more IOUs on the interest that I owe on the original IOUs? That I have to get more IOUs on the interest that I owe for my original IOUs, for my IOUs, for my IOUs?
Your only chance is to scam us. The only chance you have would be to say, let me be the banker. And if you can be in control of the money, you might have a chance.
Oh, you have a new guy come in? You need some more money? I got it right here. Here you go, new guy. Here's more money. So do you see the money's based off just you, the person, and your future labor? It's not based off actual a hard asset like gold, silver, platinum, and this kind of stuff. It's based off of your future labor's income to pay taxes, and then your children's future labor to pay the taxes, and your children's children. This is a generational thing. When we say it's not just about the child and the human trafficking, this is a legacy for your children. And so how it has to be done, Mike and I are nowhere near IRS lawyer, treasury lawyers levels of getting into all the codes. But I do know that the treasury is publicly viewed every year. We have the constitutional right, and it's exercised all the time to see what the treasury has. That's why we know it has all this money in there. Hey, you can go there right now at treasury.com and say, this is our current, this is what we have.
And
but we
I'd like
really
to
can't
add,
see it.
I'm going to add to that, that, you know, when Trump first started doing these tariffs, that all the articles, all the news, they poked fun. He's got a couple billion. That's nothing. We get trillions. And that trillions, without the articles really saying it, is like, well, that's what we get from you guys all year long or every year from all the
So
people.
we borrow from you every year at come budget time.
You know, the first 4 months of your year working, they always said it goes to the tax man, because 4 months out of your pay is for taxes. At this point in our country, it takes 4 months. So that's why the joke is that April 1st, people look at each other like, hey, I'm earning for myself now. For April 1st to the end of the year, you make your money. From the beginning of the year to April 1st is what you pay off in taxes. Now, you don't pay it all at once. We know that comes over the year, week to week, but that's the ratio.
But in the ratio, yep. It's in the nutshell for you.
In a nutshell. So think about that. That could be going away. That needs to go away. So if they duped us, if they did something that's totally illegal, we really can't have a DC that has a constitution over ours, but yet they did. It can't truly be enforced, but just with the guise of control and power, they've done it. You know, what does it take to get out of that? Just a stroke of a pen can do it. But yet you got all these angles.
Actually,
that's what I was talking about. You know,
level.
with this move, what is it essentially? And I'm not, you know, it's like we bought the debt. It's like that's what people were explaining. It's like, I can't believe it. We're taking the debt, or we're taking this asset that holds the debt. And it's like, but yet, you know, if you do flip out of something in the court of law, or if we're going to leave these people, maybe it's like we talk about the Fed bankrupt on their head, and not pay them back, just say, fine, this is what, you know, I don't know how it works, but do you need to have assets back, because otherwise they get to keep those.
We went over the
pointed out
difference
that
between government.
all of our socials are put onto the thing as of 1933, or was it 1914 or something?
You were traded. You're traded on the stock exchange, the New York Stock Exchange.
And you can look up other countries,
worldwide.
folks. The UK's been owned by England since 1213.
That's how central banks
1213, I think, you know.
Exactly.
Per the treaty of 1213, if I'm correct. I mean, I don't know. Look into that.
Well, exactly. And you guys, and so this is happening now. Mike and I were talking even in Garage Talk many times. I'm not getting hung up on how they're doing it, because we did go over briefly about government bonds versus treasury bonds versus secured maturity of 10 to 30-year bonds.
Rainbow
and
metals.
Those bonds are backed by us, we the people. Remember, our future labor, because we're on this fiat currency system, which currency is not a bad thing. It's been around since the Sumerians and the Babylonians. It's a way of doing business. And even in the Bible, it says, render Caesar to what is Caesar's. Understand if that's what you want to do. Now, I don't think we should have property taxes and income taxes. They shouldn't tax our labor. I think, you know, international commerce tax, which is called tariffs, are, I mean, you guys, we always suggest, man, a little bit of Bill Cooper-ish. I mean, there's so many people that Mike and I have listened to over the years that really ties this thing up pretty good, that gives me a real comfortable sense of peace that what's happening right now is not normal. I'm intelligent enough to know that this virus, they're saying, I'm not believing the hype. And since I don't believe the hype, and I know it's another big FF, if you know what I'm talking about, and they're doing it again. And why are they doing it? Our president is talking about the Spanish flu, 1914, and who did that kill? And oh my gosh,
they're up on stage laughing. They're look at this.
I see this.
I'm
Yeah,
with Ben.
we see this.
I will not play victim to the false, fake, lame stream media ever again. They've done
Come
it
on
time and
now.
time again. We can't. If it's such a pandemic, everyone's like, well, why Tom Cruise fly back in? Well, look at Tom Cruise. Look at the 2 federal agents that were there. How come they didn't have masks on? Oh, that was just the pilot of his plane, so they weren't worried. Oh, well, the dude just had tested positive, according to the news. But yet these 2 people are there greeting him off the airplane that flew the plane, evidently. No mask. He's waving. Nobody's got mask on. And then I guess some people are analyzing the badges. There's different for just a regular United Airlines pilot to the military.
Pilot is like,
and you can see the badge. I don't know, folks. I'm just saying none of it adds up. None of the presidents or none of these people are practicing this social distancing. They don't have a lot of the media in there. I get it.
And let's be honest.
The illusion looks very like they're
Yeah.
and they're arresting people around the world. They're why at this point when you should be just worried about your own country and all the pandemic-ish stuff, but yet you got Barr doing special things and they're going after the president. That's pretty huge. The equivalent of a president of Venezuela, the prime minister, or what was he over there?
I think he's the prime minister. I don't know. I don't quote Mike on this one, but yeah, their leader, prime minister, or the president.
Yeah.
All of a
Is it
sudden-
mandatory? Were states already, by the way, been doing illegal things? Everyone's getting mad now, like, oh my gosh, under this false narrative, we got states doing this, and Trump's like, we're not arresting any. We haven't put out an order to arrest or stop anyone from leaving. It's just highly recommended, because then certain groups can't pull off certain stupid things.
Didn't Trump already say we could take it to another level, but we don't want to go there with it? We do. We like this. We don't want to go a level than this. It just creates too much confusion. And why not? It's like, well, you don't want to declare, now federal curfews and that kind of stuff across the board, and so. The reason why people are thinking that a recommendation is the same as when their governor cancels their public schools, because that's real and it's really effective. Now they realize that, man, I really should have been homeschooling my kids, or I should have been a hybrid thing. I really should be more involved in my children. Now I just know that, oh my gosh, my daycare for my children are now gone. I mean, so that we bring that, oh my gosh, they have power over public stuff like public education. They don't have power over the private homeschool right now. They're still rocking and rolling. So there's that issue. So they recommend everybody to stay home. Now, their recommendation isn't an actual enforceable proclamation unless they declare a state national emergency.
And states have already been doing
a state emergency.
States and then cities within the states have already been doing like sanctuary. Highly illegal. Trump's been against it. You can't. That's the federal stuff. That's where we talk about having a federal government to work with overseas things.
They're breaking
That's
actual
immigration
laws.
So now you got states like, and people are like, well, states are supposed to be sovereign. Well, not when it comes to working with overseas and illegal people and making a sanctuary city. So you already had states doing their own crazy thing. Now, if you're going to get states during this time talking about, we're going to arrest people if we see you out there. That's not Trump ordering that. That's another rogue elected piece of crap in your state that's doing what the heck they want, like they've always been doing. So I just find it funny. A couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point, that whole state, all the governors, you have Mike Pompeo, everyone, oh, he's a deep state, blah blah, like they really know, like like they've really been paying attention. That's fine. I don't know all the players. I don't pretend to. But I do know good things when I see it, and I saw him show up to that little dinner, whatever the heck it was, for all the governors of all the states. And while he was there, he brought up the fact that, this little piece of paper came in last week or month, and I'm sure all of you got it. You got invited to this little event. And he goes, I don't know how many of you, know or remember that I came from the CIA before I was here. I had the privilege of being over the CIA for 2 years. And I just happen to know that this company that came up with this name, inviting all you from this China place to come visit, was actually part of the communistic blah, blah, blah of China. This is just their front name. Now, I wonder how many of you out there in the audience today knew that. And he kind of paused and and made it really, really good. You know, it was like, holy crap, they caught him.
It was real nonchalant. He was like, "We just asking, did you guys know about this?" And then boom.
I was baffled. I was completely baffled, and it was almost like I think he went into talking about, you know, money given for any nefarious reasons to line your own pockets, but to sell your state out. I mean, it got into that, folks. And if you look at the games being played, I mean, you know, I got out of the service. I come back and here to Midwest Indiana, and our toll road from Ohio to the other side of Illinois is sold out. And I'm like, it got sold. And they're like, oh, it did not. And somebody's trying to school me. And I'm like, why? And they're like, it's an 89-year lease. And I'm like, well, that's a lifetime for me and my kids. Okay, so it's not, you know, truly. So it's been happening. Everyone's acting really upset, and this is the peak of it. They can't take it no more. It's just going to get a little bit worse. I just want to get back to normal. I don't know what normal is, and I don't know when it ever has been. I mean, when Trump talks about America great again, I don't think he's referring to just the Reagan era. There's aspects of things that we've lost over a long period of time, long train of abuse. So you can be mad. I just wish all the people that were mad and really loud would offer up their solution of what needs to happen and how they would do it, and then how they would do it to not upset anybody. 320 million people in America, roughly, to make all of them smile while you do it, because it wouldn't happen. Everyone's agenda is differently, and how you'd approach it would be differently. Well, when I got in, if I was president, the first thing I'd do, Ben, was I'd attack chemtrails, because there's a lot of people worried about chemtrails, man, and I get it. But would that be the first thing you do? Is that the biggest thing on your list? Would be chemtrails first, and then maybe Fed Reserve, or would you hit Fed Reserve? And then maybe IRS stuff, and then I mean, what would
child trafficking?
Yeah, don't forget about child trafficking now.
And I know there's like satanic cabals doing some nefarious things.
You're gonna have to put something in order here.
I heard this Epstein thing, and there's an island that got to be taken down because it was a central hub for some evil doers. You kind of see where Mike and I are going with this, you guys. You know, nobody knows the entire plan. And if they did on a public level, trust me, Mike and I and the team here would know about it.
That's right.
Okay, so it's like, so we're all trying to figure this thing out. But if we know that fear now is their last and final Hail Mary weapon, and they know the potency of fear, they're going to inject that in every type of media they still have control of. And again, I urge you guys watching right now, those of you who are seriously concerned about the Treasury and the Fed and what's going to happen when they come together, a lot of you guys never even knew the Fed wasn't a Fed. It wasn't at all federal, nor did it have reserves. You just learned that yesterday. You just learned that, and you never even knew that you thought it printed its own damn money. So you guys got to bear with us here. This is some of the stuff we've been working on for a long time. And even some of the best people out there, like Bill Cooper and Fritz Springmeier, and some of these guys who really delve deep into their expertise, these guys have their theories and their hypotheses. But even then, it's gotten larger since these guys have been talking. And now Mike and I are on the airwaves doing this. So I'm very, very confident that if the money system crashes, that we'll all do better. Why? Well, because it won't be based on debt. You won't have debt. Our whole entire money system, the whole thing that we are on now, is solely based on debt. Well, and they even talk about people like, well, how do I homeschool my kids? Because you can't.
In your own neighborhood, you can just come up with monopoly money, and you could all agree that this is what it is now, and start using it. Not that we're promoting this. I'm just saying the idea of it.
No, of course
Now, it would be fine if you're like, okay, this is what we got. The neighborhood comes together. We got this much in the pool. Everything's worth, we'll keep the numbers. This 10's worth 10. And that's all fine and dandy. You all agree. But now if you all go back to your places, you got some, and then the one guy's like, we got an extra game of Monopoly up in the closet, starts bringing it into the mix, that could make things bad, or the value or something go wrong. It's just the
Since
illusion,
you
by the
can't
way,
make
of it too.
gold in your backyard off your printer, and silver is hard to find, but it's getting not too bad
So
now.
what do
and,
you think? What's your
know,
personal opinion on that with the Fed and us maybe buying up all the debt or getting the debt or we're backing it? Or
Well,
is it
if the
important
debt
maybe in a
is
court
an
of law
illusion
or is
of debt.
illusion, I guess.
Well, we
is
know
more.
that the Federal Reserve is one of those hybrid things that we know it's not federal, doesn't carry any reserve, doesn't print its money. All it
Well, they
does
have their
is
own
issue
land. It's
us more
sovereign.
debt.
They're immune from
It is a
U.S.
sovereign
law.
piece of land.
Immune
So if
from
they're
U.S.
immune
law.
from U.S. law, think about that, folks. Mike, you just hit the nail directly on the head.
Thank
Think
you.
about all these
Finally.
naysayers. Finally,
No, I've
gotten
been.
out.
It's been
Think
coming.
about it.
It's
Well,
been coming for a while.
So think about that, you guys. What we're trying to say here is these people are their own sovereign entity,
Which
like
we're supposed to
DC.
be.
We understand it. Which we're supposed to be the United States of America, not DC, but the America. We're sovereign. They're sitting on our land. They're giving us issuing debt. There's no real assets. They're not actually giving you anything but ones and zeros. That's it. All the hard work, everything comes from actually the people, the actual projected of the people. So if they now merge, then that piece of land that's kept them free from U.S. law is now broken, and that becomes a part of the U.S. soil. And we now own the land. We have access. They are giving up their sovereignty as a organization, like an embassy does when they leave the country and gives up their sovereignty. JFK tried to do it by actually having trying to bankrupt the New York Federal Reserve by giving silver certificates. It didn't work out too well. So can we do that again now? No, that didn't work out too well, you guys, and so there's a different way. Have hope, because it's only like if it changes, awesome. If it doesn't change,
We know
prepare.
that we're already in a mess. So I don't know why people are like,
Huge
now
mess.
Trump's making it more of a mess. So you've been behind Trump this whole time. And this one move is like, nope, I see what he's doing now. Because people are thinking it might be a new world order money that he's taking us into. They have no hope that he's actually going to fix this. Like if Trump's been involved in everything that he said he was when he was running, like the ramp up, the talk, the evil people, the systems, then he's aware. His mantra of drain the swamp literally comes from the guy that wrote that Nasira laws in the 90s. If you read his books, he had one called Drain the Swamp. So it's almost like Trump had to have read that book, must have agreed with it. And these people say that, and we looked at those laws, they owe us money. The debt will be forgiven, or we just flop it on its head and we don't care. We leave them hung up in damn bankruptcy court, just like they do anyone else in the country individually.
And
So
it's
screw them.
constitutional.
I don't know,
Could that be
folks.
the
I
biggest?
mean,
Yes.
people are worried because people have actually money. At this point, they're investors like, well, I got $100,000 of this U.S. dollar. Trump's destroying it. That son of a bitch. That's what they're clouded with emotion.
What happened in 2008?
Because you're
y'all?
vested. You're either invested in Bitcoin or gold, and you just want to know where it's going, so you feel secure. Well, let me tell you, buy into. That's joking. This isn't a sales pitch.
Well,
So,
what
real
happened
quick,
in
look at this article.
2008?
Keep talking. You keep talking.
Let me
They can
see
hear
this.
you. You can keep
Yeah,
talking.
no, 2008, the whole crash of our, economy. Do you think that was engineered, or that just happened because they were issuing debt too quick? I mean, think about it, you guys. So what do we got here? What's this looking like?
Go ahead and read this a little bit.
Donald Trump and the Fed are destroying the U.S. dollar. Oh, Billy Bambra.
Now look at this. This guy, what's this say? Billy Bambro. He's a crypto and blockchain specialist. He's a contributor. I write about how Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain will change the world. All right, go ahead.
He's real jaded at one side, guys. If the power goes out, all of his money's gone.
He hate Trump. Just joking.
He hate Trump. It's been a historic week for the U.S. with President Donald Trump signing a record $2.2 trillion corona and Lyme disease virus induced emergency stimulus package. The massive cross-party rescue deal is designed to help Americans and business cope with the economic shutdown caused by the corona and Lyme disease virus, the COVID-19 pandemic. The U.S. dollar has taken a beating, however, dropping almost 4% against the basket of currency this week is the biggest weekly loss since the height of the global financial crisis over 10 years ago. Talk about that.
I'm getting
They take you down
scared,
by
man.
one at a time.
It's
Dude, that dollar's burning. Ah. This week, losses come on the back of a dollar's index, biggest weekly gain. Since the financial crisis, the dollar is surging as investors scrambled for the world's most liquid currency amid this crashing stock and debt markets. In short term, huge dollar demands become short coverings, but it won't last. Wall Street veteran and founder, and possibly, in my own opinion, madman, Wyoming-based crypto bank Avenatti, Carlin Long, said via Twitter, adding she expects the U.S. Federal Reserve's balance sheet to the top 10 trillion before the corona and Lyme disease virus crisis is over, and predicting the dollar eventually crash. So they have a prediction.
On the top of the massive economic aid package, the Fed has been working hard to prop up plunging markets with mixed results, despite its shock and awe firepower. Potential risk of the combined cross-party rescue bill and the Fed's biggest ever bazooka included out-of-control inflation, the dollar's displacement as the world's funding currency, and the complete destabilization of the U.S. financial system. The Fed has pumped over $1 trillion into the system in the recent weeks, with its chair, Jerome Powell, promising never-before-seen levels of money printing and so-called quantitative easing to infinity through an unlimited bond buying program. So,
Can they print
again,
more money? Yeah.
we've already been in this system of them having control. Didn't we learn? Haven't we learned in 08? Go back to the 1930s. Everyone knows, well, the dollar wasn't going to last forever because it just had to. So
when does it not last forever? Because you can't last forever on nothing.
Is Trump nudging it a little bit? No. I mean, I get it, folks. It's like this is big stuff. Something you've never seen.
And by the way, since we've told you multiple times that the Federal Reserve does not print the money that is actually printed by machines that are on our sovereign United States of America soil, who do we have to actually borrow the money from? Could we start borrowing the money from our own treasury and then printing our own money and issuing it our own currency?
Fiat money.
Why do you think maybe the Fed? Who owns all the brick and mortar banking systems in every small town, every major city, right? What if in a swoop all those became nationalized? Oh, now the Treasury now has a in-place brick and mortar infrastructure to disseminate the new currency and already have everything in place because we've been doing it for all this time. It's just now a little simple currency that's now backed by the Treasury. It uses a Fed's infrastructure.
So think about that. So fiat money is getting more plentiful.
Because it's based on nothing, and they'll never stop allowing us to print their debt.
Yeah. It's a never-ending game. It was made and designed that way. If you want to bitch about something, bitch about that. And then come up with a solution to what you have. Lay it out on the table.
We hear you guys.
Put it out on the line so we can chew it up and tell you how it's not right. Because that's what we need.
Now, we're not discounting if your employer forced you not to work anymore. That's out of your control.
Yeah.
Your children not being in public school like mine, like Mike's. This is out of your control.
We get to see how much control they have. Like, do we like that?
Yes.
It's like, well, when they
enjoy them saying,
they're creating this is what we talk about all the time. What do we talk about?
The Hegelian dialect. Yep, for sure.
So think about that. Think about that, folks. They have the control. They're creating the problem, giving you the solution possibly, and we act like this isn't the right thing to do. But yet we've been riding under this system the whole time. We've been talking about it ain't the right thing. So what do? What's the plan? Trump making
and when
stuff,
you see something happening that's not normal, you don't like it,
out of the norm. This is way out of the norm. This is like the worst thing that could happen. Why? What's it going to do? It's going to tank something. It's going to completely obliterate the dollar. So then when we need to come up with
It's gonna
something
make
new,
this.
does the Fed think we're in bed with them right now and we're going to come up with something new together? Maybe not. Maybe that's where we part our ways. Maybe that's where we go over the bridge.
We bring the Fed under U.S. law. You know, it's like
boot them
you
the hell
think
out of our country.
yes.
I mean, I don't know.
All these times you guys have been telling us, you know, we've been hearing about, you know, these conspiracies about, you know, oh, the Queen sits on the board of the Fed, or it's the Rothschilds and all these Rockefellers and all these big names you throw out there, but nobody really knows who these people truly are, and neither does Mike and I. But you know what? Would you like to know if it's true or not? All these years you think this is happening? Well, if we can get our hands on their soil and it's not sovereign like America is, and we can go on there and publicly do Freedom of Information Act on the Federal Reserve. How about some of that? A little bit of that judicial watch on the Fed now. I mean, how great would that be? Because now they fall under our law, therefore we can now start requesting to see their books. Why have you been cooking the books? What's this debt thing? We don't like what you're doing. We all vote all of a sudden because now they come under law. What do? Are we allowed to vote in our country? Can we? If we don't like something, can we vote it down? If we don't like somebody, can we vote in somebody else? If we don't like the Fed, can we vote it away? Does the Fed come up for vote? Do you like to abolish or not abolish?
We need to have more control. We can't just have a one-sided, you know, they're sovereign, they're immune to law, but you guys, we can do all this. It's like, well, that's kind of opposite. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So, you know, you either settle for it or you talk about it a lot and hope that other people understand and get on board. And that's half the illusion. If the lie, you know, isn't a lie anymore because everyone knows the truth, then the lie doesn't seem to work. That's half the idea. We can never be mad at, you know. I mean, people are awake more than ever. So that's a positive thing. That's a positive thing. So we're going to keep our eyes on this Fed thing. We'll bring more as it develops. I did want to jump in a little bit while we got some time here on the inactive reserve. Just possibly you know, Trump ordering an executive order for recall. That's what we were kind of basically talking about here. DOD reviewing how many they might need in the guards and the reserves and the Army, the Navy. There are numbers already put out, but me and Ben were actually garage talking about that. Reserve troops being brought back. We've had 15,000 good-hearted Americans already. Veterans, by the way. 15,000 get a hold of the White House, say, what can I do? I'm out. I got out 5 years ago. I got out 4 years ago. I'm retired. I've already done 20. Yes. So that's one cool thing. We've already had that. And they're not even asking, Trump said, they're not even asking about money. All the 15,000 are just, what can I do? Money's not even on the table. Like if for $100,000, you can have me. It's not, they're not saying that. They're not looking for contracts or deals. They just want to help the country. So, that's kind of crazy. So what do you think on that, Ben? And you know. Well,
I know that it's not going to be like everybody across the board. I know that, and traditionally, let's say you have a lower MOS or a lower job in the military, you're gonna sign up for 4 years, right? But you really sign up for 8 years, 4 years active, and then you have 4 years inactive. Now, sometimes you can go 4 years inactive reserve and do some of that kind of stuff. You can go National Guard. There's so much cross platforms, but basically you have a period of time after your active duty or National Guard or whatever duty you have until they can call you back up before they call up any other people, and then they'll start drafting. There's like a order that they can start when they start pulling from the military, and if they're short on one military, they start pulling the inactive reserves. Right now, I think he wants to do about 24,000, I think, on this selective ready reserves, which these are the reservists that come from all branches of the military, and these are the ones who do the 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. They're actually battle ready. They're training on at least once a month, versus the inactive reserve, where the guy just got out. He did 4 years. He's got a DD-214. He's stretching out. He's flousing his new jump boots. He just got out right before he got out. He still has 4 years that the government can call him back for service in time of need or in time of war and need.
Yes. So everybody does 8 years, whether you know, like, no, I only signed up for 4. Or some people are like, I only did 3 years active. And it's like, well, then you had a 6 year or 5-year inactive point. So, and it's like, well, what is inactive? Inactive means you're not going on weekends, and we all know what active reserve is. That's like 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the year. Ben just said it or whatever. So that's active. Then you got inactive, but everybody does a total of 8. And it's like, well, some people do none. That's right. But if you do sign up and you want to do like the 4 active, that is
we're talking basic entry level military stuff, guys. I'm talking the 20, 30 year guys. Yeah.
Yes, and that's you're going to have to do 8, and it's like what? And it's like, well, typically the person that does 4 gets in, does 4, gets out, gets a life, gets a job, and never hears back. 4 years later, after he gets out, he's going to get a piece of paper saying, "Thank you, your selective inactive reserve time is now completed. Thank you for your 8 years of total obligation is now fulfilled.
Your country, yes, and it's finished."
John Brulin, thank you so much for the super chat. We thank all the Patriots for supporting. So real quick on a side note, Ben, earlier you were talking about getting, you went out and you had to do a little bit of shopping and you're looking for a little bit of that essential lead. What had happened to you personally with, somebody's like, oh, hey, 1 box guy or whatever. And you're talking about this as of this point right now, personally, you're seeing it almost like from in front of the counter on shelves or not behind, and I mean, people standing there. Oh, what do you need? What do you want? And
yes, I saw this during the Great 22 manufacturer shortage a few years back.
No, today, the one you saw
22,
today,
and that reminded me of what happened to me today. So around in our neck of the woods, turkey season's coming up. So I'm got to go out and get me some 12 gauge 3-inch turkey shot. Don't want to use my clay pigeon in a small bird shot, so I'm just like a normal person. Now my boys want to go hunt with me this year, so now I got to get, 410 bird shot. This is real common stuff. This isn't like exotic stuff. So I need to get more than just 1 box. I got to get 2, right? 2 different gauges, people. Okay, you're tracking, guys. So I go to the counter, and it's all roped off. And he's like, what do you need? I'm like, well, hey, it's real authoritative, right? Like he's in control of the guns and ammo guy. And this is, our local rural king that sells clothes and there's groceries too. Think about it. So I was like, I need 12 gauge bird shot. He's like, you can only have 1. I'm almost like, okay, well, I know I'll probably get the turkey, my boy. So I got 1 box. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I can't believe that.
Did you go somewhere else that was shut down or something first? You said they're not open. I guess they're not, or a Walmart part?
It was. No, some of the other actual I've been hearing and that I don't know if this is true or not, that the gun shops that just primarily sell guns and rifles and firearms only are now considered non-essential. Okay. So they are highly recommended to close, and a lot of
as of 2 hours ago, I'm seeing here on this right here. Just so I brought this up. So this might have just changed, but Trump designates gun retailers. So this is I don't know.
See right here,
manufacturers. That's
gun retailers, manufacturers, essential business.
It's just 2 hours ago, though. So the guidance throws a wrench into the plans to shut down gun stores. Nice little flag there.
I know that 2 gun stores I passed by that were privately owned were closed. In the small town.
No, and that's the thing, folks. As you bear witness to this and you're living through it, there's a lot of propagate. That's what I was talking about. Like, even Fluidpour was texting us last night, like, oh, hey, things are shut down in Florida. Oh, man. And I'm like, okay, now Trump didn't issue anything, so I don't think it's that, but is it your local little mayor and they're actually arresting people? There might be a rogue sheriff that decides, that's it, I'm going to arrest people and put them in jail. I wouldn't deny it, or I wouldn't be shocked. There were mayors that were making sanctuary cities. They were doing sanctuary cities.
What's the difference, you guys? I mean, come on now. Let's stop and think about this. My governor is highly recommended. Mm-hmm.
Well, now
if you're closer than 6 feet,
they're not letting me move. I get that. That's the state of the country because of the propaganda. You can't help it. Things are shutting around. Ben just, well, now there's a couple of private-owned gun stores. I don't know too many actual corporate gun stores. I mean, not like if it's inside of like a Walmart, right, or whatever. So we're talking about, a lot of them are going to be private. And if they want to shut down, that's on their own behalf. We can't. Did they play into something? maybe, or are they just shutting down to be safe, or are they, for whatever reasons, things like that are happening. We get that. And then there are going to be rogue people getting arrested, or literally getting down to the point of you can't be out, and if you're caught not between the hours of this and this, curfews and all that crazy stuff is getting catered right on in.
And where are they going to put us all? I mean, think about it, you guys. You think like the jails are big enough for everybody in your area? Like, there's people who are really saying, I'm opening up my business. It's have never closed the whole entire time, and nobody's bothering them. They're getting no cease and desist orders. In fact, the only thing that I know of a major cease and desist order is the local hardware store called Menards. They got a cease and desist order to stop price gouging.
Yeah.
They stayed open. And
Fluid Core wrote here, I think that you may have taken what I texted wrong. I was being sarcastic. No, you were flipping out, brother. We were both, me and Ben were. Definitely he's flipping out, you guys. He's having a hard time with this. We are there for him, brother. Text me after the show, brother. I got you.
After the show.
I got you, man. No, I'm just joking. No, he's fine. He was just saying, hey, we're all doing that from our areas to let everyone know the new thing is coming out in our particular areas.
They're still comms up. Yeah. If you get this text, that means it still comms up. Like, okay, so there's still people. Like, think about it, you guys. People don't even think about the internet.
Everyone tell Fluid he's going to be all right. If you can.
It's going to be all right, Fluid.
It's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right now.
There's a small army of people all over in every city and small town who make internet possible so you can see what we see now. There's a huge army of people across your estate, your county, your city who maintain the power coming to your house. How come none of those people? Oh, they're essential. Yes, so are shoe stores, because I have to have shoes to walk on the street, so they're essential. Yeah. So it's like none of the power companies are shutting down. All the big things. Remember, civil and municipal public works that are good for society have seemed to be going just fine. It just seems like things that are perishable and don't mean nothing seem to be going off the shelf, and it's more of a mental, I got to go out and of course, buy a little bit more food than normal. Why? Because there's crazy people around you doing weird things that are not normal, and things are happening.
Yeah, and things aren't going to last forever, folks. I mean, that's the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I'm not going to stay home. I will not. Well, go ride your bike. I've been grilling out. I'm doing almost everything I normally do. It's like I'm not hanging out at the store. I'm actually still getting to go to the store, but I'm not trying to hang out there extra long. There's hardly anybody there anyway. It's just a few things. I mean, my big thing is if we do get into this, there's been this rumor of 10 days of darkness, and then possibly being some videos shown to you directly. It's a time to be at home with your family and go over that. They don't want you out at the bars like a normal sports, drinking beer, and all of a sudden it's like, Trump's like, we got to make sure we get this out, so get everyone's attention, and then you play it over sports. Okay, you interrupted
more
sports.
More football. What's this guy doing?
These guys get along fine and argue a little bit about the teams, but now you got like, why is Obama going down on TV? He's like, well, because he was a bad guy, man, don't you know? And he's like, no, I liked him. I hate Trump. He's bad orange man. And now there's people in the bar fighting and throwing fists because of what's coming out, possibly. Deep state. I mean, you can't rule it out. You want to be tough. Like, I'm not staying at home. They're not going to lock me down. Do whatever you got to do. I'm not staying at home either. I mean, I'm like doing things with my family. And when this does come out, you should probably be around your family to be able to explain it, work it out. You don't need to be around complete strangers or people with different political views, coworkers. You don't want to have a bunch of people working and depending on bosses to bring TVs in and make sure everyone gets this message, because some bosses of companies don't like Trump and they refuse to show what he's talking about. There you go. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I haven't followed Trump along this deep, this far, delving into things. And to think he's going to make some idiot move at the very end when everything else has seemed to be pretty thought about.
Occam's razor.
Lots of people falling like flies, folks. I took that man's words. I wouldn't be here otherwise as far as what we're doing. And I'll tell you this, not just because of him. I'm saying the platform, the talk, and the people that are supposedly behind him, because again, it's not just by any means one man. There's no way. This would have been a plan in the makings for a long, long time. I mean, think about that. Would Trump, and we're going to wrap this episode up on this, something for everyone to think about. Ben can give his opinion as well. I mean, if Trump wrote that book we know in the year 99, talks about 9/11, if you had that, you're pretty sure you probably had the next 10 years worth of playbook, or 20, which is right now. Do you think you just would have wrote about just to flaunt it in some private book back in 99 that came out? Probably got you quite a few sales. People were buying Trump books. So all the people in this country that would have read that book at the time it came out and hit the shelves in January of 2000, The America We Deserve, by the way, the book's called.
It's a New York bestseller for, I think, a full year or something. So
all the people out there that read that book and read that chapter about him calling out the whole terrorist attack verbatim, dang near. And then even the fact that it's like, well, he got a couple things right about it. No, he tells in detail, and then he says, and then this guy runs off and hides out in Iraq, and we can't find him. I mean, you even named off that part of the story. So you have
where
that.
He ran to.
What do you do? Is that letting us know? Is that a nugget from way back then that you knew it wouldn't get much attention, but here forward, it's something like, look in the past.
I believe it's a
what do you
tip
do
of the
with
hat.
That?
It's a
and why? And to
it's
sit
a definite
there,
little.
Think about that, folks. Nobody's died. This has been a silent war, not a gunshot. Silent. No. At the end of this, we'll find out with the 20-year books and history and movies made, the details of all the things like that. That means they were sitting there, knowing about 9/11. And had to let it happen. Why didn't they move in? Why didn't they do something then? 2 years into the plan? And blowing the whole thing? They didn't have none of the people in the right positions. The final stage of the plan is to get Trump as president. Come on. I mean, and it's like, that your whole story is crazy there anyway, Ben. That whole concept of that story is crazy. It's like, is it? But the New World Order has a plan. They've been planning longer. To do this, to do that, and not all that crazy. No, that's all real stuff, man. That was happening, man. Those evil people were working day by day, putting in the work, man, and they were getting there. Well, what about Patriots to infiltrate right at the end? This might have been their end game plan, to have this pandemic that was really bad, that really was going to be killing people. But after they launched it, the only people going down were all themselves. And they're like, what's going on?
Well, you even think of the age of our president. I mean, he's not a spring chicken of sorts. He's still quite healthy. He's going to live for a while. Think about, he's said many times that, America's been really good to him and his family, and he's prospered at this point. He's got money for his great grandchildren. So that part of his lineage isn't questioned. But when a man has children, for the most part, it should be naturally that his mind changes from a young man to a father. And when you start seeing what's happening around you, knowing that Trump was a former insider, and he's getting briefed down on what's happening. Well, there's going to be this 9/11 thing. We got the Osama family. They're going to use their son as a gift up in this ritual, because they're going to be getting the thing that's Saudi money, and it's all connected. And it's all. And if you knew all that, of course, it would be a tip of the hat that nobody knew about. And then when it happened, nobody would ever read your book. Oh, Trump was this guy,
Remember at the end of Superman, how he switched out the chamber, and then they thought by him going in the chamber that it would take his powers away, but he switched it. That's almost like possibly what's going on here. I mean, I'm still baffled, and I know it's like, well, all the media does is give you the stars' names as they get it, or the politicians, or the worldly leaders, and that's what we're getting. And it's like key people like that. Boom, boom, boom. They got it. Well, they're not dying or anything yet, crazily, but I'm just saying they got it. And then people are like, well, there are normal people in the States. They're coming out with numbers. Well, yeah, there would be normal people in the States getting it, possibly one way or another, by fake news or by that they're involved in some of this stuff. I mean, we know that the trafficking is deep, and there's got to be normal people in the communities that are doing the dirt, because it's never the politician. The politician never paves your road out in front of your house.
No, I haven't seen one since.
They hire
They may have a golden shovel, and they may do the first inaugural shovel of the road.
They cut the ribbon for the gathering of the money, of course. They love that. And they always have the shovel out there. So that's just ideas, folks. This is, again, just Sunday night, I guess, conspiracy theory hour. But still, we went over lots of facts.
I mean,
you
can tell that, we're not just kind of spitting from what we believe, like, oh, this is out of nowhere. This is actually from researching this stuff and understanding that first of all, knowing your understanding of limits. Obviously, if you don't know that much about, financial law and transaction law, or you know about salvage law or maritime law or law of the land, or how about what Lindsey Graham was talking to Kavanaugh about the law of armed conflict, things like this. If you don't understand that there are different bodies of law that operate different entities or different sections of we the people, we're only familiar with like civil law and domestic law or family law, that kind of stuff. It's real simple. This stuff is getting crazy, and it's never happened before, at least in my lifetime, which I feel is pretty cool, because when I was born, we were still at war, and we've been at war the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
So
yes, the war on something,
like you said, Mike.
War on drugs, war on
something.
homelessness.
No.
But real quick, I want to take a shout out again, all the Patriots and mods. Thank you for being here. Again, this Trump behind me, not so much the one lit up, which is awesomely cool, but the metal one here, the Punisher face with the hair logo. And then even like this metal thing here.
Bunch of cool stuff. Yeah.
I got that down below, folks, in the ticker going on. I forgot to mention at the beginning. I actually got that. He emailed me back, and I got his email and some other things. I'll go over it a little better in the next info or the next video. I totally forgot to do it at the beginning, but I'm dropping links in the chat right now for it. Just if you want.
And also, nice. And look at that. We're also getting you guys, hoping you all going to be there with us August 14th and 15th. The Patriot Fest is going to be amazing this year, you guys.
Bristol.
Got a great guest. Grilling, if you don't mind, throw the information out there in the chat. Let all people know where it's going to be at. Bristol, Indiana. It is going to be amazing, you guys. It is going to be a lot of fun. August 14th and 15th, American Legion, Post 143. You're going to have the Patriot Fest in combination with the flag retirement ceremony. We're going to have the Freedom Ride. This is going to be so huge, you guys, at a time where everybody's going to be ingesting this awesome information with their family and getting through all this just after the 4th of July at Mount Rushmore, and we're going to be seeing some glorious things there. Just after that, you're going to top off the year just with family, because it's free to everybody to come on out to the Patriots Fest in Bristol, Indiana. Oh my gosh, August 14th and 15th of this year. It's going to be great. It's going to be really great, and it's free, open to the public. There's going to be stuff from food there for you guys if you want to purchase.
Music,
camping,
events, drinking,
great
water,
special guests coming, by the way.
Flag retirements. I mean, just a good time.
And
just right before the election, too. What a great time.
Yep,
just a couple months before the election.
Exactly.
A bunch of this stuff is going to be over. We're going to get through it. The summer's going to come. Great 4th of July is going to be just behind us. It's going to be great. So again, Ben, brother, thanks for being here tonight. Patriots in the
awesome
chat. Thank you. We got we had about 1,000. So we'll see you real soon on the next episode. I think we're going to be going tomorrow, by the way, the Patriot Oath of 4 at about 10 a.m., I think, is a time thing. Just
okay, we're going to try to get it out for you guys out there, for everybody here. East Coast time.
10:15 a.m. kickoff, I think. Fluid Pour had said the earliest tomorrow would 10. So I'm going to give him, I said, hey, brother, no problem, 10, maybe 10:15. I know I just see him chatting there again, so he's here. So look for that show tomorrow. Sweet. Woodman, Ben, and possibly
all you
hopefully
guys.
It works out.
We'll see what's going on. Lots of love. God bless you guys, you and your families. Thank the blessings that you get to be with your families in these times and not out somewhere else. Love you guys.
Amen. Again, that was Ben. We always love having him here with us on beaming in studio, whatever we can get with all the social distancing and stuff. We're still going to be doing a show here real soon in the studio. We were talking about it. So, all right. Anyway, other than that, you guys have a great evening. Enjoy your Sunday. I don't know what else you got in store. I'm going to be working on a video here like normal. It'll probably be tomorrow that it comes out. But other than that, look for our live show tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed. Always don't take what we say to be 100% fact, word, truth. Do your own digging. Come to your own conclusions. Read everything you can. Watch everyone you want. Subscribe to everything. Believe none of it till you can verify. Again, I'm Michael. This is the Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you. God bless. Love all the Patriots. Thanks for being here.